All right, welcome to the NELLY podcast. Today we got a very special guest, actually my 5th grade teacher, which was great, obviously. And then now the guy who he got this all for us with the grant money. Mr. Gerber, so it's just a pleasure to have you here.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here, guys. Thanks for the invite. I'm wondering why I wasn't your first guest.
Well, that's a good question.
We should have had you on first.
Yeah.
That's good. I just giving you a bad
All right, so I think we just want to start off with just some simpler questions here, We just wanted to know how kind of it all started for you, just to get to your position here in Park County.
You mean from the very beginning or to this position I'm in now?
More or less just your recent, say,
Okay.
5 years.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's go 5 years.
Yeah, so I was at Livingston teaching 5th grade and loved it. Had a great time. Loved Livingston. Loved having you guys in class. But I always, one of my passions has always been after school things for kids. So we did the CSI group and we did that airplane thing. So we did a variety of things. And my wife retired. And the same year that she retired, they posted this position, and the position was advertised as the principal at the rural schools, the principal of the online high school or Cove, and then I think they call it the director. I'm really not sure of that, but the director of after school and summer programs. So I was reading that, and it went off in my head. I wonder what they would let me do in the summertime. Mm-hmm. So I went and I made an appointment with Mr. Foley, and I just asked him, because I taught summer school before, and I said, I've got an idea, but I want to do summer school and after school programs totally different than the way that we've done them in the past, in that I don't want to just look at our student population and say we're only going to invite, the 5% of kids who need, remedial help on things. I want to do things for all of our kids. And he said, go for it. So yeah.
That's really cool. I mean, you got you saw that this could really, I feel like those programs also you were saying you started in 5th grade with CSI and stuff, and I did that, which was really cool.
That was fun, wasn't it?
It was fun, yeah. And it's really cool to see you get kids in here that can experience things like that.
Right. And
it's just for me, it was super cool, and I mean I'd go and I'd always come home and be like, you didn't know this, Mom. I mean, I got something on you now. So
you learned a little more than your mom knew.
Exactly.
Hey.
I was like, I got something on you now, but that's because of this. Yeah. So it's just really cool for other kids to have that opportunity too.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm an insanely curious person. I want to know how things work, and then I see something cool like this, and it's like, oh, I need to know how to do this. And so that was the idea. Let's start a summer school and after school and offer just a wide variety of things that all kids can do.
Yeah.
And bring in, anybody that's interested.
Yeah.
So then on top of that, I got lucky, and there was a grant through the state of Wyoming, and they were trying to give away a bunch of COVID money. And with COVID, that had a big impact on kids and families and stuff. And so, but it fit right into what I wanted to do with after school and summer school. So we applied for that grant. We got $1.5 million. On top of the school board had already set aside about $450,000. So we ended up with about $2 million to invest in our kids for after school and summer programs. So here we are.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing idea. I mean, personally, I would never really thought to, come back to school and during summer, it kind of seems like that 5% you were saying that has to retake stuff, but more or less have an enriching possibility that we can come back and do podcasting. We can learn such new things, throughout the summer. We don't have to go on a 3-month dead period. We can still come back to school. I think that's an amazing idea.
Well, I'm glad you like it, and that's the thing. I think most people, when they see the things you guys are doing, the things Mrs. Denning is doing. Every school has got some amazing programs going on, and the big question I get from all the adults all the time is, how come we don't get to do that? You know, why do the kids get to have all this
Yeah.
fun? But it's you know, that's what the money is for, is to give kids a place to be, to make sure that they're around positive influences, so positive adults, and to learn or reinforce their learning. But this learning is disguised. So I mean, you guys are learning right now. You set this whole thing up by yourself. You've learned the process, but I'm sure that you guys probably don't think that it's learning. You probably think of it as something that you're interested in that's just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to target it, really.
Yeah.
Because you learn so much, like we have, just through these programs we've been learning for
Yep.
this and all this, just for this. But it's like you said, in disguise, like we're just like having fun, you know, just kind of making it. And you don't even know how much you can take away when you go home and just like say, and your parents will be like, oh yeah, I didn't know this. And you'll be like, really? Because I mean, like, most people don't, you know, it's like crazy. And I think it's really cool that you're doing that for so many people, like kids.
Well,
it's just
Yeah.
really cool, really.
Well, that's kind of what, you know, I said, you know, I don't have a whole lot longer. You know, this is my 33rd year. So I'll be back for number 34 next year if I wake up on the right side of the dirt. And, you know, I think it's a good way for me to have a really positive impact where this stuff will you know, this equipment will be here long after I'm gone, you know, and you guys and students behind you will still have access that you can do these things. So that was really, I mean, that's my selfish thing. But yeah, it makes me really happy. You know, there was I can't remember, it was last week one day, I had things to deliver to all the schools, and I've seen this many times, but every school that I stopped at had something going on after school for kids. And in addition to, we have great athletics and those kind of things, but different, you know, learning activities.
Extracurricular.
That's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
It's a big word.
That is a big word.
Extracurricular.
There you go.
You know,
Yeah,
close, but
but still learning opportunities. But the big word for me, I mean, I'm addicted to fun. You know, I just like to have fun.
Yeah.
And you know, even as a teacher, you know, if you can make the learning in your classroom more fun, your kids are definitely going to engage more, and they're going to learn more. So, like right now, you're teaching me, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah.
So now I'm having fun. You guys are having fun. I think all the kids in the district have these opportunities, and it's fun, and they learn.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that fun environment, I feel like, is like keeps people so interested. Just like 5th grade, I'd say one of my funnest years. We'd always have Bob Marley in the background. Now, I mean, you got me hooked on that music.
That's
there.
good.
Yep, and it was just it was one of my favorite years because you
Good.
have such a good environment, and it was so much fun, and I learned a lot too because you know I was engaged and I wanted to do it because like it was a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool that like after school stuff, people are doing that and they're learning.
Yeah.
It's just they're enjoying it obviously
Right.
because it's fun. So I
Right.
think it's
Friday after school.
Mhm.
It's beautiful outside. It's 50 degrees, and you guys are in here with me. When you could be out doing something, but yeah, this is fun.
This is fun, yeah.
So I just think you know, I knew it would work. I hoped it would work. And then when we started putting out a few little programs and feelers, and then, you know, Mrs. Denning was the very first teacher to contact me. When I sent an email out to the staff that, you know, I'm here to support you guys, let's do some different things. And she sent an email, so I came over and we met, and she had all of these cool ideas. I was like, oh, I want to go back to 8th grade. I want to make a skateboard. I want to learn how to podcast.
Yeah.
I want to learn how to do they were doing the epoxy countertops the other day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just those, I mean, that class is amazing. And,
It is.
and you know, when you guys have that opportunity to continue this. And the really cool thing is, you guys have a skill that I would bet most adults in Cody don't have.
Mm-hmm.
So you could make money doing it.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know, which is really cool, you know, at your age. So no, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the programs that
Oh,
this
gosh.
grant money has been used for? I mean, you don't have to name all of them. Just
Well, I think there's a couple of things. We start off, there's academic support in every building. So after school every day, there's a study hall or there's tutoring, there's reading and math support. You know, so there's all of the basic need things that kids can have. The high school, they have a program, and the middle school, they both have after school, they have one of the core teachers. So they have a math, a science, a history, and a social study, or history and what am I missing? Science, language arts.
Yep.
Teacher that's there. So if you're having trouble in writing, you can go get that teacher or a teacher that knows about writing to help you. So we have all those things. And then, if we want, if we just talk about the middle school, so we have Mrs. Denning's class, obviously, and she does a whole bunch of things. But then you have Mrs. Skorick, who has an after-school club that the students go and they do community service things around town and help. I mean, they've helped with Habitat for Humanity. They've helped at the Cody Cupboard. They've done just all kinds of stuff where our kids go out and are helping. And I think that's important because, a couple of things. Middle school kids often get a bad rap because sometimes you guys aren't a whole lot of fun to deal with. but for the community to see that you guys are giving back, I think is huge.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. So then you have there's a Mr. McLeod does D&D, so he does Dungeons and Dragons, and the kids can go in and get help. Garrett Randolph does guitar lessons, and he's done that all year. I'm going to forget somebody, and they're going to get mad at me. We've high school we have that's it. Mr. Conaway has his maker space here where kids can go and learn how to make things with the laser engravers and those and then. Okay, am I forgetting everybody? I'm going down the list. Go to the high school. They also have a makerspace. Excuse me. And then, the middle school, the other thing is we sponsored, the after school sponsored the student play, which is happening this weekend. So it's tonight and tomorrow. Mr. Murray and Mrs. Bree sponsored that. High school makerspace. What else do they have going on up there? Mrs. I forget her name. Reisowitz has done... the new scoreboard that they have at the football field, so the kids can go and they can make the videos, so they can get that on there. And they have drones where they've done aerial kinds of things. They've got some really cool stuff going on. Photography. Mrs. Gerber taught an outdoor photography and a winter photography for high school kids. Elementary, there is so much going on at every building. It's hard to even list, but every school in the district, including Wapiti and Valley, have a makerspace where the kids can do 3D printing. The rural schools don't have a laser yet, but they will. The in-town schools all have Glowforge lasers, so the kids can cut and carve and create. And then there's drone programs, there's music programs, tons of art programs. There's singing over at Eastside. Matter of fact, Eastside just opened their makerspace recently, and the thing that really excites me, they're all that, and they all have coding, 3D printing, everything from kindergarten up to 5th grade. Yeah. So they work with all of the grade levels. I think it's exciting.
Yeah, the way I see it, it's like some kids, they're definitely not going to enjoy this.
Right.
But there's so many things that they would enjoy most likely because you've used this money for such good, like everywhere around.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah.
It's just like, because I'll talk to someone, they'll be like, "Well, I wouldn't really enjoy this,
right?
But I enjoy making music. And
I would do this."
Yeah. And I'm like, "Well, yeah, you got something, you got a place you can do it, and how you can do it. And it just really lets people fit in and find a group,
and that's what we want.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get one program, at the beginning without the money. It's hard to please everyone, but with this new money,
we
there's
can
so
spread
many
it around.
things that you can do to just help people
get
actually
going.
find their passion in
right.
life.
Yep.
And then, like in the summertime, we didn't talk about that. There is so many cool things where we have, we have some really amazing community partners. The Cody Paddling Club and the Gradient Sports, they did kayaking last summer for beginning kayaking and an advanced kayaking group. The museum did 10 different activities. Cody Center for the Performing Arts did 5 or 6. The Rec Center, they did the babysitting certification, plus they did middle school sports for you guys with after school. We had horseback riding, horse therapy, 3D printing, mountain biking. There was something for everybody.
Everybody, yeah.
And that's the big thing is that that's growing up when we had athletics and that's it. Mm-hmm. And so I was involved in sports, but I also loved music. So finding that I could be involved in the band and athletics, and now I could do podcasting, and now I could do makerspace. Now I could go. I would love it. So I think it's really good for kids, and I think the number of trying to remember off the top of my head, last year we had about 1,250 seats filled in the summertime for kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, just some of those are the same kid a couple of times, but total we probably had 800 different students involved.
That's a lot.
Which is cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And now this summer, you guys, I get to pay you to teach
help other
the little kids, which is neat that you're going to do this internship that to teach the students who are going to be 6th, 7th, and 8th graders next year. Mm-hmm. So it just pays off.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I feel like is really cool that we get to teach and show about, because it's like we have such a passion and love for it. It's someone else to have that's just cool to see, and it'd just be great. And same with like just all the makerspace stuff, like you were saying, like
there's lots.
And like the stuff down Mr. Conaway, we have it in class. I mean, it was really cool.
It's neat,
cutting.
Isn't it?
I had a little bit of an instant the first time.
Oh, do tell. Let's hear what you did.
So we were carving out our name here in a little block of wood, and it's like you got cut and engrave.
Yeah.
And so you're supposed to cut it out, and I engraved it.
Nice.
And so the whole thing just lit up on fire, and I'm like, well, Mr. Conaway, I don't think this is doing the right thing. When he's like, oh no, you gotta put it out. I'm like, oh shoot, it's a fire. Oh yeah. So yeah, that was a bit of a first thing I needed to learn, but yeah.
Well, that was exciting.
Yep, I was like, well, I know what to do now.
So you learned something.
Yep.
Well, and Mr. Conaway, he's forgot more about technology than I know. So I mean, he's done some amazing things. It's fun.
Yep.
And that's where, for me as an adult, and I mean, I've put in a lot of years with kids, and it's really rewarding, especially when I see my former students like you guys that are, and you used an important word. You said the word passionate, and you have passionate learners, but when you have a teacher who's doing something that they really love, that passion comes across. And, I think back about some of my favorite teachers. I had a teacher named Mr. Finnerty, Dan Finnerty at Cheyenne East High School. Go Thunderbirds. And he was a psychology teacher. And the minute you walked into his class, you knew that he loved what he was doing. And he started, and so that was the class, that you didn't want to miss. You wanted to be there. And that's, I think, you guys are very, very fortunate. You have some fantastic teachers and people who just love what they're doing. So you guys now will have that passion to share with the younger kids, and they're going to respond to you too, just because you love it.
Yeah. And that, like I said earlier, that was your class for me.
Hey,
it's like I'd walk in and you'd get like a little like, don't worry.
Yeah.
Every little thing will be all right. And I was like, all right, that's going to be my playlist right now.
It's so funny that because I see a lot of Mrs. Gerber and I have been in Cody this is our 23rd year, so we know a lot of people, obviously, both being teachers, and the number of people that I talk to is like, oh, my kid listens to that music all the time.
Yep.
So, but if you can hook kids just by simply playing good music, just good music, and that's simple.
Mm-hmm.
But having fun, I think it's good.
It's really good part of it. And
good.
I mean, just like Mrs. Gerber, my sister and her, they were just great friends, really.
Yeah.
Like they'd go and take pictures, and then the music also got her hooked on like all the old 70s.
Yeah.
It's just like something as little as that can just
hook a kid.
Really affect them.
Yeah.
It's really cool, and I think that all of this is just great.
Good.
And awesome what you're doing. So.
Well, thanks, and it just makes me happy to see it being used, and you guys. I mean, it's fun, and it's going to make some adults a little nervous. All this stuff with these buttons and lights and that kind of stuff. But that's what I would really like to see you guys do, and I don't know how we could work this out. Is for you to have a chance to teach the teachers. Oh. Say you guys could say, hey, we're going to do a podcasting for old people, and you could just put some teachers, because there's a lot of teachers who would love to learn how to do this. Mm-hmm. But then you guys can come back and you can give back to people who don't have those skills, and you can teach them. That'd be fun.
It's I think that's a great idea.
Like you were saying, like you grew up and you didn't really have this, but I bet there are just so many that are interested in things like this.
Yeah.
That it'd be super cool to do that because you may think like only kids are gonna like be like you're gonna teach them. Kids are gonna teach kids, I guess. But like since we've got this now, we could go teach them, and they could take off with this too, like because they could be really interested. Yeah. And I bet there are many who are.
Oh yeah, I guarantee you that there would be people that if we could make arrangements to do it and you know and have a chance to teach adults, you know, how to do this. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
So
it would be
let's
great.
do it, guys. I'm gonna put the pressure in.
We're gonna start doing it. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much for coming on
guys.
today.
Thanks for being on.
Hey, you're welcome. I got to do my old man thing. I'm proud of you guys. You're doing great. I cannot tell you how happy this makes me that you guys are doing this. So keep it up. Keep up the good work. And you know, you mentioned Mrs. Gerber. She probably won't see this, but I'll tell you this. She's absolutely the best teacher I've ever seen. She's passionate. She's all those things you want. But here's my hope: somebody that witnesses this podcast is going to see me say that, and they're going to tell her.
And they're going to tell her that, yeah. And I mean, I got confirmation from that too. My sister, she's
she's great.
All right, I got one more question.
Okay.
So, what sloths I know are like your favorite.
Oh yeah.
How did that come to be?
You know, that's a good question. I love animals. And I think I was telling you earlier. Well, I did. That I'm like over the top curious about our world. And I think I had heard one time that somebody had and I'm also like I love trivia, random facts and things like that. And I had learned somewhere that sloths only poop once a month, and that they climb down a tree and they dig a little hole and they poop in the hole and then they cover it and they go back up, and then that fertilizes that tree that they're eating off of.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I got to see if that's right. So then I start, because it's, you know, somebody might tell you that as a joke, but, you know, it's true. So I learned that. So I investigated that, but that's why. Yeah, I mean, and they're just, I think they're fascinating, you know, and there's, you know, where I grew up in Wyoming, and we didn't get to see sloths.
Yeah.
But that's why.
Yeah, I just wondered. Because I remember we'd always pull up and be like, there's Mr. Gerber, that little sloth.
He's got a sloth on there,
yeah.
Well, I got my sloth tattoo, and then I've got hundreds of sloth things that. Well, Mrs. Waddell at Livingston just last week gave me this little sloth that poops like M&Ms. So I still get those gifts from kids and from other adults. So it's fun.
Yeah,
that's fun.
I just wondered.
There you go. Now you know. Probably more than you wanted to.
All right. Well, thank you for being on.
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Yep, appreciate it.
Great having you.